She stood at the edge of the courthouse steps, her tiny fists clenched, her eyes hollow from too many sleepless nights and unanswered questions. Her clothes didn't match, her hair was unbrushed, and in her hand, she clutched a torn photo of her mother who had passed away just 3 months ago. The 12-year-old girl, her name was Savannah Rose Thompson, looked up at the rumble of engines that rolled like thunder across the cracked pavement. 24 bikers in leather vests rolled into the courthouse parking lot, their patches worn and their boots stained by time, but their presence brought more warmth than the sun had that entire December morning. Savannah didn't flinch. She stepped toward them with the fragile courage of a child who had nothing left to lose and everything to ask for. Her voice trembled, but the words were loud enough to silence the engines, "Be my dad, or I disappear today." And just like that, the world stopped. If you believe in kindness, in giving second chances, and in the power of love found in unexpected places, please like this video, comment where in the world you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope, and don't forget to subscribe, because sometimes, one click can change a life. Savannah had been in the system since her mother died from an overdose. Her father had disappeared when she was 4, lost to his demons, and never came back. For the past 3 months, she bounced from one foster home to another, never staying longer than a week. Some said she was difficult. Others said she was damaged. No one said she was loved. She didn't speak much, didn't play with other kids, and carried a small green notebook in which she wrote poems and letters to a family she wished she had. On the last page, in messy, tear-smudged handwriting, she wrote, "If nobody wants me by Christmas Eve, I'll run away where nobody can find me. Maybe then someone will miss me." That page was dated just 2 days before she met the bikers. The group that changed her fate wasn't some random gang, they were the Iron Saints, a brotherhood of veterans and ex-cons who ran food drives, built shelters for abused women, and held rides to raise money for sick kids. The leader, Jackson "Bear" Mallory, was a mountain of a man with gray streaks in his beard and a scar across his left cheek, but he had a soft spot for broken things, especially kids. His own daughter had died in a hit-and-run a decade ago, and he never got to say goodbye. That pain still haunted his sleep. When Savannah stood in front of his bike that morning and looked up at him with those pleading, broken eyes, something shifted inside him, something sacred. The courthouse had summoned Bear and the Iron Saints to testify in a custody hearing. They had taken in a boy from their neighborhood whose parents were abusive, and the system wanted to know if this group of rough-looking bikers were suitable guardians. Savannah wasn't part of that hearing, not officially. She had followed them after overhearing someone mention their names at a diner. She took a bus across the city, hid behind a trash bin, and waited until she saw them arrive. Then she made her choice. She could no longer wait for fate to decide her life. She would choose her destiny. Bear stepped off his bike slowly, removing his helmet. The other bikers followed, forming a semicircle around the small girl who now stood trembling in the middle. For a moment, no one said anything. Then Bear knelt down, one knee on the cold pavement, and gently asked, "What do you mean, disappear?" Savannah looked away, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. She opened her notebook and handed it to him. As Bear read those heartbreaking lines, the air around them grew heavy. Some of the bikers looked away, wiping their eyes. Others stared at the sky, their jaws clenched. Bear closed the notebook, stood up, and said to the group, "We're not leaving here without her." The judge inside the courtroom wasn't prepared for what followed. One by one, these bikers, men with tattoos, leather, and gravel in their voices, stepped up to the bench and gave character statements about why no child should be left alone, how trauma doesn't define you, and how they had found purpose in saving lives even after failing in their own. One biker, Miguel "Clutch" Rivera, spoke of his daughter who died in foster care while he was locked up. Another, Thomas "Ghost" Hart, told the court how his mother used to burn him with cigarettes until a neighbor finally called the cops. Each story added weight to Savannah's plea. And through it all, she sat beside Bear, holding his enormous hand with her tiny fingers, never letting go. The judge, an old man named Charles Whitman, had seen thousands of custody cases in his 30-year career. But never one like this. Never a child so brave. Never a group so committed. And never a courtroom so silent. After a full hour, the judge leaned forward, looked Savannah in the eyes, and asked, "Do you want to live with them?" She nodded. "All of them?" She whispered, "They feel like home." The judge took a deep breath, tapped his gavel once, and said, "So ordered." Temporary custody granted to Jackson Mallory and the Iron Saints pending final review. "Miss Thompson, you're going home." The room erupted, not with noise, but with tears. Savannah, for the first time in years, smiled without hiding it. Bear lifted her into his arms, and the bikers roared outside, revving their engines in celebration. That Christmas, Savannah didn't just find a dad, she found 24. They each took turns teaching her to ride, helping her with homework, and sitting up with her during nightmares. They converted the clubhouse's old storage room into her bedroom, painted the walls soft purple, and built her a custom bookshelf for her poems. She even got her own leather vest, stitched with her name, Little Saint. She became the chapter's heart. Every toy drive, every school meeting, every fundraiser, she was there, front and center. She even helped the Saints start a reading program for foster kids. 3 months later, the judge made the custody permanent. And in his closing remarks, he said something no one in that courtroom would ever forget: sometimes, the family you're born into isn't the one that saves you. Sometimes, it's the one you have the courage to find. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who still believes in second chances. Your support helps these stories reach people who need to feel hope again, and maybe, just maybe, it'll remind someone out there they're not alone. Comment below and tell us, if you had one chance to choose your own family, what would they look like? Savannah is now 15. She still lives with the Iron Saints. She's writing a book called Found by the Road, a memoir of her journey from being unwanted to unconditionally loved. And every time she hears the rumble of engines down the street, she runs out to greet the riders, because in her world, the sound of home isn't silence anymore. It's the roar of love arriving on 2 wheels.